Welcome back. This class is focusing on pregnant women specifically, but the symptoms that they get, which could be dizziness, tension headache, or fatigue, this is common for everyone. So anyone can join in for this class, but I'm specifically talking to pregnant mothers to give certain directions, okay? And that they can feel confident about doing certain actions that will help them feel better. All right, so we'll use a couple blankets, have a bolster, 2 bolsters if you have it, a chair, couple of straps, and a few blankets. So in other words, get everything together and bring them to your mat. And then we'll get started.
Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar Yoga,
I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace.
you can find more details in the description box below.
So this class is focusing on fatigue, headache, dizziness. Some of the symptoms that pregnant women get quite often. And it's not just pregnant women, but this is the class that would be good for anyone with those similar symptoms. But I'm specifically wanting to put something out there for pregnant women because many times they don't know what to do or think they can't do anything. So I will focus on a sequence that will be good specifically for those kinds of issues. All right, one thing to remember is if you are dizzy, anything that we do, just don't look down at the floor. Just keep your gaze up and your sight looking out. And if you have miscarried at all, you want to avoid any kind of turning action. All right, so we will be doing a few twists, but only gentle twists. But if you've had or been prone to miscarrying, then you will skip that part, okay? Generally, when you become pregnant, there are certain things that you don't want to do. So especially if you're a yoga practitioner, you know that there are pavrita actions, which are twisting actions. So things that you wouldn't do anymore would be pavrita trikonasana, pavrita parshvakonasana, Marichi Asana, closed Marichi Asana, so that's a twist, that's an intense twist, Ardha Matsyendrasana, and Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, that's when you're lying on your back and your legs are straight up, so there's too much pressure on the pelvis, the uterus. Okay, and then of course any back bending, we don't want you doing back bending unless it's a supported back bend. We'll do a little bit of supported Setu Bandha today, which is perfectly okay, but not doing the active back bending. And then Paschimottanasana, which is forward bend with both legs together, and Triangle Mukha Pada Paschimottanasana. So both of those there's too much compression that's happening with the abdomen and the legs. So I'll show you alternative ways to do things like that. Okay? The other thing is you don't want to have just some general rules. You don't want to have any pressure on the abdomen. So as we go forward into certain forward bends that are relaxing and will support the head, you don't want to let your abdomen press on the thighs. When you're in your first trimester, there's certain things that you don't want to do in the beginning, just because as the uterus is starting to do what it does in pregnancy, you want to make sure that you have a good hold and take on the egg and that there's nothing that's going to disrupt it. So in the first trimester, we always observe caution. If you haven't been doing yoga, especially, but if you have been doing yoga, just proceed with caution, okay? Some other things is you don't want to jump. A lot of times we'll jump our feet apart in standing postures, and you don't want to jump. You would just walk your feet apart. Also, if you've had any miscarriage, you would want to make sure you don't do any standing poses, and just revert to more forward bending poses, okay? So just generally no compressing of the abdomen and making space, making extension through the spine, lifting up through the spine, because you have, a lot going on there. And so oftentimes digestion is a problem, breathing is a problem, constipation, many different things. So we want to create enough space and be aware of that extension so that the breath is available and you're able to feel comfortable, okay? Some of what we do in yoga is to help balance the digestive system, also to balance the endocrine systems, the glands, and also create circulation through the body, which is what you need. So when you're pregnant, you're heavy. You're maybe feeling like you can't do anything, but you can. Pregnancy is perfectly safe for yoga, or yoga is perfectly safe for pregnancy. So don't worry about that. It will help you to breathe better. It will help your urinary system, your digestive system, and help you to just feel better and have a safer and easier delivery. Okay? For all of you mothers out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to have space. You need to feel comfortable. And oftentimes when you eat, maybe you eat too much, or maybe you haven't eaten that much, and you still feel that uncomfortableness with your meal. So this class today will not touch on all of the issues that come, but it will touch on a few, which is the tiredness that you may get, the fatigue, the maybe dizziness, and also tension. All right, so when we can relax a little bit, when we can open up, and when we can breathe, it makes a big difference. So first, just sitting in Sukhasana, you're going to cross your legs, and you can see the outer sides of the feet, the inner sides of the feet. We're going to bring the outer side of the foot onto the floor. Now, I'm sitting on 2 blankets, but you may need a little bit more height, so I'm going to bring an extra bolster here. So if you have something a little bit higher, you can sit higher. You want the knees to release down, and you want to have space here. You can always take a blanket and bring the blanket right beneath the shins and around the feet, so that way you have some stable position to sit in, okay? So your knees are in line with your hips, and you're able to sit up tall. So now you're going to take your hands out. I'm going to make some space and some length in the front of the body. So extend the arms up, and as you lift the arms up, be aware of that length that's coming through the front and the side body. Release your legs down, release your hips down, thighs descending, and then just breathe. So feel the lift of the front body, but lift from the pelvis and lift from the lower rib cage. So the diaphragm muscle is here, so you want to lift that area away from the abdomen and just breathe. Bring your hands down and change the cross on the fingers, moving out. Inhale, lift up. So just making sure that you breathe. Feeling that lift, feeling that extension. And then bring your hands down. Okay, so now I'm going to go a little bit closer to the wall. I'm going to use the wall, and we'll do a gentle twist. All right, so here, you're going to bring the legs into Baddha Konasana. So bring the inner legs away from one another so the pelvis is wide. And then you can turn and bring one hand to the wall and keep one hand on the leg. And you'll lift up, and then you'll exhale, turn. All right? So you're using that hand on the leg, you're using the hand on the wall to get that lift and then turn. So you're not turning too much, you're turning just so that you can feel that abdominal area or the chest turning. And then release. If you've adjusted on the bolster, adjust yourself back. And then take one hand over again, the other hand back on the wall. Press the feet together, lengthen the inner legs. Inhale, lift. So descending the tailbone. So you want to have the tailbone heavy, the hips heavy, and lift up. Take a nice deep breath. Lengthen up. Exhale, turn. So you're not squeezing the abdomen. You're not creating any tension there, but you're turning from the back waist corners. So I keep slipping on this wall. So make sure that you have your hand in a way that your elbow is moving down, and with that hand pressing into the wall, you can lift up through the back side chest. And turn. And then come back. Come back to center, Baddha Konasana. Just bring your hands onto your legs and lift up. So again, making that front body long and wide. Nice deep breath there, collarbones wide. And now you'll take your legs out, Dandasana. And bring one leg back. Take this blanket away. Bend the leg. Bring one foot over onto the thigh. And then bring one foot in. And you use the blanket again. So you take the blanket and bring it underneath that knee. So for some of you, you'll be able to do this. This is half Padmasana. Others, if you're not able to do that, then you'll just come again into Sukhasana with the blanket there again, holding the shins up and giving you that stable position. All right, so I'm going to come back into that Padmasana. So I'm bringing the leg up, turning. So this gives a nice opening in the hip. You want to continue to bring more circulation into the hips. So if this is possible for you, if you've been practicing, then you do that. If you're having any pain in the knee, then just come back to the first position. All right, so we'll turn again. Go to the wall. So have your hand on your thigh. You can bring one hand behind you. You can also have a block. So you can have the block behind you. Move the knees down. Collarbones wide. Bring that shoulder back toward the wall. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. And then come back to the center. So breathing the entire time, not holding your breath at all, not looking down if you have that symptom of dizziness, but just looking up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. So even when you're turning, you're still breathing. As you're inhaling to lengthen, you're exhaling to turn, and then you continue to breathe, taking a few breaths in between. That back shoulder is moving back. That back arm is turning from the inner arm to the outer arm. So you're getting nice opening through the shoulder, through the collarbones, bringing circulation into the shoulder area. So later, when the baby's delivered, you'll be doing a lot of work with the shoulders. You'll be holding the baby a lot. So getting this openness is a good thing for you to be working with right now. Okay, so now I'm going to take this leg out. If you're in Sukhasana, you can change the cross on the legs. So now I'm bringing the other leg up, bringing it back, bringing the foot on the thigh. And because I'm on this height, this knee is quite high. So I'm going to bring that leg in, and then I'll have the blanket there to support the leg. Okay, just make sure that you're sitting evenly on your sitting bones. This leg is a little bit higher because of that blanket. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. Take your hand back. I have the hand on the block, and I'm rotating that shoulder. Inhale, lift. Taking a few breaths there. Exhale. Turning the top chest. Rotating that shoulder and that arm. Be there. Take a few more breaths. Keep the knees and the thighs descending. Stay even on your sitting bones, so even on the left and the right. And then come back. And take the blanket away. Release your leg. And bring both legs out. All right, from Dandasana, you'll bend your leg out to the side for Janu Sirsasana. And we're going to go forward and place the head on the chair. But to do that, let's bring the leg out to the side so you have more space. So we're going to be turning to the side, and you want that space there. And then you can reach your arms up. You can come to that concave back position. And then bring your forehead down. Resting on the bolster, resting on the forearms. This thigh is pressing back, so you're getting that opening through the pelvis there. And you're coming forward over that front leg. Let your head rest, let your breath rest. And release your shoulders. Release your shoulders towards your arm. Keep the thighs descending down. Breathe into the abdomen. Breathe into the chest. And then come up. So when you're at home, you can stay and do these as long as you want. Coming to the other side, you're going to move your chair to the other side. And take your leg out to the side. So be on the heel, move the knee down, and then, depending on how it feels for you to turn, adjust the chair. And as you turn, pressing that thigh down, turn over the front leg, release your head. Let the forehead rest completely on the forearm. So here you're lengthening, you're creating some space through the pelvis, but also lengthening the front body. You're working in the kidneys from the back and working on the liver. Soften your breath. Release your exhalation. And then come up. And you'll come back into Dandasana. And just sit up tall. Use your hands, press your hands into the bolster. Release your shoulders down. Keep your thighs descending. Okay, we're going to come into another twist, which will be Sukhasana, but we'll be doing Sukhasana with the chair instead of Janu Sirsasana. So again, place the chair where you feel you can go forward. So you're in a slight Parshva action, a slight turning action. Not too much turning, but just enough where you feel comfortable and you can relax. So first you're lengthening. As your hips are descending, you're lengthening through both sides, but particularly you can feel more length coming from that side. Turn that side and place your head on the bolster. Release your arms, release the shoulders. Releasing the tailbone down. Still, there's a lift coming from the pelvis, lifting up. As you press your arms down, and still lifting up through the chest. So you want that extension coming through the front body, the side trunk, through the back body. But just let your head rest, let your brain rest, let your eyes relax. Relax your jaw. Let the breath be soft, releasing through your exhalations. Make sure that when you go down, if you feel the abdomen being compressed at all, that you take a little bit more height. Take the height as required. When you're in your first trimester, you won't need as much, or the second, but the third, depending. So you can build up the height so that you can rest. Okay? So now we'll take this to the other side. And I'm going to take that away. So you build up as your body requires. Now we're turning to that side, so this back waist is turning, the back ribs, the whole abdominal area is turning, but not creating any tension in the abdomen. So remember, keeping that space, that length. Your hips are descending, and you're feeling that length come from that side trunk. Release your head. Soften your face, and let your exhalation go. So exhalation longer. And while you're there, just observe if you have any tension anywhere in your shoulders. If you have a headache, just completely rest the head, relax the eyes, release the temple. Feeling the breath. There's no tension in the abdomen, there's only lengthening happening. So the throat is soft. Just taking some time for yourself to recalibrate your nervous system. Letting go of any tension, using each exhalation to let go a little bit further. Maintain your awareness on your breath, away from distractions. And then getting ready to come up. Press, inhale, and come up. And now we'll move the bolster over to the side. We're going to go to Viparita Dandasana, which is a supine position where the chest is going to be opening and we'll get some length here. All right, the way you're going to set up is to have one bolster going this way, and then you can have blocks on each side that will support the top bolster. So when you take that bolster over, you'll have nice amount of height, okay? Depending on how high your bolster is, you may need to build this up a little bit more, but let's just try it with this bolster here. And then I want you to have a few blankets so that you can bring your shoulders onto the blanket and your head. So I'll just have these blankets here and I'll adjust once I go down and see what I need. So you're going to sit here in the center, and before I sit, I want to get one belt. So you'll use the belt around the feet. Okay, so I have a belt. I'm going to use 2 blocks as well here. If you don't have more blocks, you can just get whatever you have that you can rest your legs on. You can even take a chair. Okay, so sitting right in the center, you're going to bring your heels onto the blocks. And before you go down, you can just bring your strap on, because you're going to bring the strap around the feet. If you're in your first trimester, you're going to be able to have the strap closer. So the feet, you can have the blocks together, and you can strap the feet closer together. All right? If you're in your last trimester, I'd like you to have more space so you can take the blocks further apart and have that strap wider. All right? So it will feel a little bit more that you'll need that space there. All right? And then you'll slide your heels down on those blocks. And I'm just going to have to first come down and see, am I in the right position? So when I have my hips in the center of that bolster, I'm going to be able to still slide my feet down, and I want to have support under my neck and my shoulders. Okay, so you can see I need a little bit more, so I'm going to take another blanket here. So it really depends on the condition of your bolsters. If you're using pillows at home to raise yourself up, or if you have bolsters that are quite thick, then you'll have to adjust. Okay, so I'm coming down, and I want the shoulders to be supported, and I can have the back of the head on the floor. And then bring the arms out to the side. All right, so here the whole pelvic area and the abdominal area is supported, and there's an opening that's coming here. There's length and an opening. So you can take your arms wherever they're comfortable. You can bring your arms above your head. Rest your arms a little bit. I'm going to rest them a little bit on that blanket so I can feel the blanket is supporting the upper arm, and with the palm just relaxed. Okay, so here the chest is lifted, the pelvis is lifted, and there's opening that's coming through the whole front body. The head is down, so it's a little bit of an inversion. If you were doing headstand, this might be giving you a little bit of a similar kind of release. Chest is higher than the head, so the circulation of the heart area is no longer having to pump up into the head, but there's that descending action with gravity. So keep your feet wide, your thighs moving down, so there's a heaviness in the thighs. You can even take, if you have some sandbags, if you've been practicing for a while and you have some weight, you could put there. Otherwise, just keep the thighs descending, and as the thighs descend, you'll feel that the chest is getting that nice lift, which is a release for you for the breath. So the whole diaphragm area is being opened, and the organs that are also housed there within the abdominal cavity with the baby are having some more space. The baby's having more space, your organs have more space, and your breath is able to have more space from not only the front body, with the back body and the sides. As the pelvis is opening, there's a release of and lightness through the pelvis. So usually, if you're standing or seated, there's a heaviness with the, depending on your trimester, with the baby dropping down. So this is giving you some relief from that. Helping the brain to relax, eyes relax. And just allowing the whole body to rest and relax any areas that have become chronically tired, whether it be your brain, your mind, your physical body. Just allow yourself to be here. So you may have bolsters, you may not, so you just have to get what you have around you, but there's a slight firmness to the bolsters so that they don't depress down. So just have something within the house. It could be a couch cushion that's a little bit stronger. Release your mouth, release your jaw. Bring your attention to your breath. As I mentioned earlier, you can stay as long as you'd like in this. So as you're practicing at home, you can hit the pause button, or you can practice this at any time that you feel that you need to bring some quietness, bring some relaxation to the body, the breath, and the mind. All right, we're going to prepare to come out now, so you'll bring your feet out of that strap, and you'll bring your feet back onto the floor. Okay, and then with your feet, you're going to press yourself off the bolsters, so you'll slide down, move your shoulders away, and come all the way down onto the blankets. And just allow your legs to rest on that bolster. So we'll call this the transition. So you can also stay in this as long as you'd like. So we never want to lift up. We want to slide out and then roll onto our side to come up, not creating any tension in the abdomen. So you can bend your knees now. You can roll onto your side. And just rest for a few breaths there. You can bring your head right onto your arm. And using one hand on the floor to keep the abdomen from pressing too much. And then you'll press into the floor. Inhale, come up. Okay, so I'm sure that felt nice, and you can stay as long as you like in that. We'll go to another supine pose now, which will use a little bit more equipment, so let me get those together. Okay, So you can see I have quite a few props here. I have a bench, Setu Bandha bench. I have a bolster, I have a few blankets, and I have a couple blocks. Now, if you didn't have all of this, you could just use a bolster to help you lift up. I'll show you this first, and then after we come out of this, I'll show you the other way. So you're going to use the strap again. If you're in the first trimester, you can bring your feet together. If it feels better to have your feet apart for the first trimester, you can do that also. But for the second and third trimester, you'll definitely want your feet spread. Okay? So now, in the last one, the back of my head was on the floor, a little bit lifted, more like a headstand. The shoulders are going to be on the floor, and the back of the head is on the floor. So as I slide down, I'm bringing pretty much the waist edge here, and then I'm folding over for the lower back, and then the shoulders are going onto the floor. Okay? So I'll start by just bringing the feet up, and then the feet on that bench, I'm going to slide down until I can feel my shoulders are on the blanket. Now, depending on your body, you may need more height here. You may need less height, okay? So you'd have to adjust for that and then bring the legs out. For most of you that are doing this, you've been practicing a while. So just take the support that you need. I have blocks underneath the heels. So the legs are lifted, so I don't feel any kind of tightness in my back. But if you did, you could just raise that height up underneath the feet so that it would alleviate any tension in your lower back by just lifting the legs up. So now here, I'm rolling the shoulders under, lifting the back of the head so that the back of the head is on the floor, and bringing the arms just to the side. You can have the arms by the head. Here they're on the blanket, so they're a little bit more supportive, or you can just bring the arms out to the side. All right, so here again, the whole front body is opening, and there's that opening in the pelvis, but also you're in this position where you're in Jalandhara Bandha. So there's three main bandhas we talk about, which is this is one of them. So we're practicing that in shoulder stand and in Setu Bandha, where the chest is lifted and lifting toward the chin, and the back of the head is lengthening, and the chin is moving slightly toward the chest, but the chest is more lifting toward the chin. So the neck is long, and with that, the throat is narrowed, and you're able to start to bring the breath into a little bit more quiet state. So if you're pregnant and you've been practicing yoga, you'll have been doing pranayama, which is a practice of our breath control, which is an avenue toward meditation. So here, you're able to come into a quiet state of mind, state of breath, and just allow the breath to relax completely. And with that, release any tension that you have. So the front of the face is broad, between the eyebrows. The throat is soft. And you can begin to focus on that breath, feeling the breath, hearing the breath. Just allowing your thoughts to relax and just point your awareness towards your breath. If at any point you felt uncomfortable in your back, you would just lift your legs up, bring more height under your legs. So again, this is heart opening, great for the glandular areas. Which controls all of your hormones. So a really wonderful pose to be in, not only for lengthening and opening the body, but bringing the quietness that comes with this breath. Also, if you were feeling that was too much with your feet lengthened, at any point you can bend your knees, keeping the knees bent. Bring the knees together. And now we're going to come out by just pressing the feet the same way we came out before. And you'll start to slide down off that height. Bring your hips right onto the bolster and your chest on the floor. And then you can stay there with the legs on the bench. Now remember, you don't have to be pregnant to be doing this. This is good for everyone. This whole sequence is good for anyone with any kind of fatigue, any kind of tension in the head. Or any dizziness. So we're going to come up and I'm going to show you how to do it in case you don't have that height. So I'll take the bench away and I'll show you a new setup, okay? So this is a second setup that I've done here. So if you have two bolsters and you don't have a bench or something higher, you can use the two bolsters. I have the blanket here for the head, and then I have some extra support here. You could also use blocks, depending on what you have. So I'm just showing in several different ways. These are some cushions, and they're firm cushions. I use these for shoulder stand. Again, I'm going to take this strap on the feet. If you're in your first trimester, you can bring the feet together, the legs together. If you're in your latter trimester, or you just, even in your first or second, you want to bring your feet apart, feel free to do that. All right, so you're going to come down. Your hips are on this bolster. So you can start by moving your tailbone down. So your whole lower back is lengthened, and it's also supported by this bolster here. And then you're rolling down. So I'm pressing the feet down until the shoulders come down onto the floor. All right, so now the whole back is lengthened, the chest is lifted, and feet are going up onto those cushions. So I have some width across the pelvis. All right, so this is essentially the same thing I was just doing with the bench. With the bench, obviously, with a much higher lift. So depending on your bolsters, you could also put blankets under your bolsters to lift them up a little bit higher, or even blocks. So depending on your body and what you have been practicing and what you're capable of doing, remember, you only work with your capability. Don't try to do something that you haven't been doing that puts any strain on you. All right, so have enough support. Don't overdo, and just be where you can have a comfortable breath. You can have comfortable feeling in your lower back, and your shoulders are on the floor. So here, the shoulders are rolling down, and the armpit is open and lifted, and your arms are just coming out to the side, wherever you feel comfortable. The back of the head, you're lengthening, and again, you're in that Jalandhara Bandha. The chest is moving towards your chin. And then just be there. You keep the legs active by keeping that strap, letting the legs press out into that strap. And at the same time, descending the thighs, so the thighs are heavy. And then just be aware of that feeling that you have in the abdominal area. So you can feel the breath, you can feel the length, you can feel the diaphragm lifting up away from the abdomen. You now have that freedom there, more space, and just be there. With the breath moving freer, you'll have more availability for the organs to release, for the digestive tract to work a little bit better, and also to relieve you from nausea. It's oftentimes that the diaphragm is pressing on the abdomen and the baby. You feel all bunched up there. So getting this nice space will help you to feel more comfortable and have more circulation, not only with the blood, but with the oxygen. Paying attention to your breath. Let the exhalation release. Soft inhalation. Soft exhalation. And as you're there, just pay attention to the breath. Observing your inhalation and observing your exhalation. Nothing else. You're free to stay here as long as you'd like. To come out, you'll bend your knees. And bring your feet onto the floor where you can press and start to slide yourself down. Bring your feet onto the bolsters, slide down further. So your whole back body is on the floor. And then when you're ready, roll onto your side and come up. Okay, so now we've shown that in 2 different ways. So it's very relaxing and you have a nice sense of relief. Okay, so for your last pose, Savasana, you're going to have a couple of blankets. You're going to have one blanket for the head. You're going to lay on your side and you're going to take the bolster between your legs. So in this one, it's really finding a comfortable position for yourself. So you can have some more blankets on the floor. You can have another blanket for your arm. So you're coming onto the side and just making sure you have enough height for your head. So I'm resting on my side, on my shoulder. Head is supported, so I can feel I need more support for the head. Using this arm and the shoulder for support, and then with that bolster, just placing it where you feel that you have enough support so that this opening is coming through your back, your arm is supported, and then you'll just be here. So this is one of the ways that you can do Savasana. There's a few other ways, but for now, we'll just try this way. It's a nice release for the back, and opening through the pelvis as well, supported on your side. So you just be here and find that the right props for yourself, the right blankets, right amount, because this distance from your head to your shoulder, you're going to need that support there. So finding some pillows that aren't too soft or blankets that aren't too soft. And then just be here in this quiet position. Just allowing yourself to release from any doingness at all, just feeling the body releasing downward with that support. And then feeling the breath again. So just staying there. You can stay as long as you'd like. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you need. Doing Savasana for 10 minutes a day, twice a day is really ideal. It helps you to relax, restore, let go of tension, taking relief on your back. There's no longer the baby pressing down with gravity into the pelvis. And the breath is freer. So I just encourage you to be in Savasana as often as you'd like. You can do it more, but trying to do it twice a day so that you have that opportunity to just allow the body to do what it's needing to do. You have a lot going on. You're growing your baby. You have the health of your baby and yourself to be the number one priority right now. So taking the time that you need, asking others to support you. So we'll stay here another few minutes. And when you're ready to come up, you can come up. You'll come up the same way. You'll stay on your side and you'll use your left hand and press yourself up. Enjoy the rest of your day. Namaste. Thank you for joining this class. I hope you're feeling more relaxed and less tired, less tension in the head, more freedom with the breath. And just want you to know that it's really important as a mother that you take time for yourself. You take that time in Savasana twice a day, but you also take time in some practice where you're doing nothing but allowing yourself to open, to breathe, and to have the mental stability that is required for growing this baby within you and bringing this baby to the world. You have a big responsibility. And mothers are to be saluted everywhere in the world. So I encourage you to take that time, and I was happy to bring this class to you so that you can or I encourage you to take that time, all right? So enjoy your practice, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.